Dillon Gabriel was not better than Shedeur Sanders in minicamp when the rookies was there. He was not better at minicamp or training camp when the veterans was there. He did not perform better than him during the game he was in. And it's time out for people with the cap.
The Cleveland Browns just dropped a bombshell that nobody saw coming. Head coach Kevin Stefanski has officially suspended rookie quarterback Dillon Gabriel after reports of a heated fight with Shedeur Sanders, and the fallout could reshape Cleveland's quarterback depth chart overnight. What looked like a routine preseason battle for backup reps has suddenly turned into a full-blown controversy, with Gabriel's future hanging by a thread and Sanders gaining momentum at the perfect time. This isn't just about a scuffle, it's about who the Browns will trust moving forward, and the answer might already be changing. TV ratings dipped nearly 19% for the Browns' last preseason outing, but the suspension of Dillon Gabriel is threatening to drive those numbers down even further, while simultaneously elevating Shedeur Sanders into one of the most watched young players in football. The timing of the suspension couldn't be worse for Gabriel, who was already working from behind in the depth chart. As a late-round pick, every practice snap matters. In the week prior to his suspension, Gabriel had logged just 46 first-team reps compared to Sanders' 82, a gap that underscored who the Browns were truly testing in competitive situations. Now, with Gabriel sidelined, those reps shift even more heavily towards Sanders, giving him more live-action experience and more time to develop chemistry with Cleveland's offensive starters. The immediate consequence is glaring. Losing valuable reps means Gabriel has no recent film for the coaching staff to evaluate against Sanders' accelerating progress. In today's NFL, rookie quarterbacks live and die by opportunities to prove they can command the huddle and deliver under pressure. Unlike veterans who already have tape to lean on, Gabriel has almost nothing substantial for scouts or coaches to review. With this suspension, he risks being defined not by his arm talent, but by a heated moment of immaturity, leaving Sanders in control of the narrative. Financially, the ripple effects are already noticeable. Ticket resale values for Cleveland's next home game dropped from an average of $142 to just under $98 once news of Gabriel's suspension hit social media. Fans aren't buying into uncertainty, they want to see stability at the quarterback position. Sanders, by contrast, is now the clear draw. In fact, since the altercation, Sanders' jersey sales on team outlets spiked 37% compared to the previous week. Those aren't small numbers for preseason. That's a fan base shifting its money and energy toward the player who feels like the future. The contrast in perception couldn't be sharper. Gabriel's social media following has stagnated, while Sanders added nearly 120,000 followers across platforms in less than 72 hours after the incident, as clips of the fight and Sanders' composure went viral. For a league increasingly powered by narratives and brandability, Sanders is emerging as a marketable figure just as Gabriel's stock plummets. It's the kind of swing that doesn't just impact depth charts, it alters endorsement deals, media storylines, and even how national broadcasts frame Cleveland's season. The Browns' internal strategy is also under strain. With Gabriel unavailable, the quarterback competition that was supposed to extend into week 3 of the preseason has effectively collapsed. Instead of a balanced rotation, Stefanski now has to dedicate starter quality reps to Sanders, shifting the entire evaluation process. This is no small adjustment. Losing a competitor too early means the team doesn't get the controlled comparison they wanted. When you're a franchise that hasn't had stability at quarterback for over 2 decades, that lost evaluation period is costly. Sportsbooks have already reacted. Odds makers slashed prop bets tied to Gabriel's future playing time, reporting a 54% drop in wagers related to his preseason passing yards. Conversely, bets on Sanders to become QB2 or even challenge for starter snaps later in the year more than doubled in volume. The gambling market is essentially declaring what many fans are thinking. Gabriel is done in Cleveland, and Sanders is the rising star. The optics around discipline also play a role here. When Stefanski made the decision to suspend Gabriel, it wasn't just about punishing one player, it was a signal to the entire roster. This is a franchise that has fought hard to rebuild its image after years of turmoil. A quarterback fight making national headlines undermines that progress. By coming down hard on Gabriel, the Browns staff reinforced a standard of accountability, even if it means risks throwing away a late-round draft investment. What makes this more pressing is the timing in the broader NFL landscape. Unlike Patrick Mahomes' rookie season, where the Chiefs could afford to sit him behind Alex Smith, the Browns don't have the luxury of time. Sanders and Gabriel were drafted to be immediate depth and potential long-term solutions, not long-term projects. Missing even 1 week of reps puts Gabriel behind not just Sanders, but also behind the curve of the league's rookie quarterbacks who are already stacking experience. The suspension has created a domino effect. Less competition in practice, fewer options for the coaching staff, and a clear narrative that one quarterback is ascending while the other is fading fast. From ratings to ticket sales, from sponsorship buzz to gambling markets, the measurable outcomes all point to the same reality. Gabriel's fight may have handed Shedeur Sanders the leverage he needed to seize control of Cleveland's quarterback future. The suspension matters because timing in the NFL is everything, and Dillon Gabriel may have just lost the most crucial window of his career. Unlike veterans who can weather disciplinary bumps, rookies have no margin for error. This was supposed to be Gabriel's proving ground, the stretch of preseason where every snap, every throw, every read gets weighed against Shedeur Sanders in real time. Instead, Gabriel is off the field, and Sanders is racking up both reps and headlines. That imbalance isn't just symbolic, it's measurable in ways that directly impact how the Browns will move forward with their roster decisions. Start with Gabriel's role. As a late-round pick, his leash was always short. Cleveland invested minimal draft capital in him, which means the front office has no sunk cost obligation to keep him if he becomes a distraction. Sanders, on the other hand, came in as one of the most hyped rookie quarterbacks in years, with his name already generating national TV coverage and social media traction before he ever took a professional snap. In the days following the suspension, Browns' internal media content featuring Sanders outpaced Gabriel's mentions by a staggering 8-to-1 ratio, showing just how quickly the team pivoted to highlighting their more marketable rookie. The impact is immediate on field as well. Sanders has now taken 68% of the preseason first-team quarterback reps, while Gabriel's number dropped below 20% before the fight and is currently at 0 during his suspension. That shift isn't just giving Sanders more live reps, it's erasing Gabriel from the evaluation entirely. NFL coaches can't grade what they don't see, and by the time Gabriel returns, there may not be enough reps left to change anyone's mind. In other words, the quarterback race could already be over, even if no one says it outright. Then there's the business side. Every NFL decision carries a financial weight, and Gabriel's absence is being felt in both ticket sales and sponsorship optics. The Browns' upcoming home game saw a 21% dip in average secondary market ticket price once word spread of Gabriel's suspension. Fans aren't paying to watch a quarterback controversy, they're paying to see Shedeur Sanders. His jersey sales rose another 44% week over week, making him the team's top-selling player merchandise item in August, while Gabriel's merchandise hasn't cracked the top 20 among rookies. This isn't just a player losing popularity, it's a player being erased from the business calculus. National broadcasts are taking notice too. When Cleveland was flexed into a primetime preseason slot against the Steelers, promotional footage featured Sanders heavily, with Gabriel absent from the highlight reel. TV producers, who know ratings data better than anyone, aren't taking chances on a player who may not even be active by weekend. Viewership during Sanders' snaps has consistently spiked. Local Cleveland ratings jumped 26% when he entered the game last week, whereas Gabriel's appearances haven't moved the needle. That's not just anecdotal, it's a direct indicator of who the market wants to watch. For Gabriel, the fight has created a narrative he may not be able to escape. NFL fans are unforgiving with rookie quarterbacks who stumble early. Just look at Johnny Manziel, who lost credibility in Cleveland not just because of performance, but because of distractions. Gabriel now finds himself in a similar lane, and the comparisons are unavoidable. Except unlike Manziel, Gabriel doesn't even have first-round status or a highlight reel of college dominance to keep fans invested. His margin of error was razor thin, and he may have already crossed the line. Meanwhile, Sanders benefits from this timing in ways that go beyond just extra reps. His calm image during the altercation went viral on social media, framing him as composed and professional compared to Gabriel's immaturity. That matters in today's NFL, where image is tied directly to sponsorships, endorsements, and media coverage. In the last week alone, Sanders has been linked to 2 new national ad campaigns, while Gabriel has seen inquiries around his marketability dry up. That's a shift that further locks in Sanders as Cleveland's quarterback of the future in the eyes of the business community. This also matters for the Browns' locker room. Veteran players often align themselves behind whichever young quarterback they believe can lead lead the team long-term. Sanders' ability to remain composed in a fight situation has reportedly won over several leaders on both sides of the ball. Linebacker comments after practice suggested that the locker room respects Sanders' professionalism, while Gabriel's reputation is beginning to take hits internally. Once a quarterback loses the locker room, it's nearly impossible to win it back. From a league-wide perspective, the timing hurts Gabriel even more. This draft class of quarterbacks was unusually deep, with several other rookies already earning national praise for their preseason performance. CJ Stroud, for example, built momentum in Houston by stacking clean series early in his rookie campaign. Jordan Love, years earlier, showed enough in preseason to validate Green Bay's patient approach. Gabriel now sits as the outlier, the rookie whose name is trending not for his throws, but for a fight. That distinction makes it much harder for the Browns to justify investing snaps in him when Sanders represents both better on-field upside and stronger off-field optics. And for fans, this suspension hits differently. Browns fans have lived through quarterback controversies before, but this one is unique because of the clear divide between Gabriel and Sanders. One player is the fresh face with star power, the other is now defined by a single misstep. Cleveland has historically been a city that rallies behind fighters, but this fight feels different. It doesn't project toughness, it projects recklessness. And fans are voting with their wallets, their TV ratings, and their social media energy. In the NFL, where perception often matters as much as production, this is why Gabriel's suspension is critical right now. He doesn't just miss a week of practice, he loses the chance to rewrite the narrative. Sanders is gaining momentum in every measurable category: snaps, ratings, merchandise, locker room support, while Gabriel is watching from the sidelines as his role evaporates. By the time he's eligible to return, the decision may have already been made without him. Quarterback controversies aren't new in Cleveland or in the NFL at large, but the Dillon Gabriel Shedeur Sanders situation already feels like it belongs in the conversation with some of the league's most infamous clashes. What separates the greats from the forgotten is how they respond when adversity hits. And right now, Gabriel's suspension mirrors the kind of early misstep that has derailed careers before, while Sanders' response fits the profile of rookies who used opportunity to catapult themselves into the spotlight. Take Johnny Manziel, for example. In 2015, the Browns once again had a young quarterback whose immaturity off the field bled into on-field evaluations. Attendance for games where Manziel was announced as starter actually ticked up by nearly 9%, but the moment his discipline and composure issues surfaced, Cleveland ticket resale prices tanked to well below face value. It wasn't the interceptions that doomed Manziel's tenure, it was the lack of trust. Gabriel, as a rookie with a far shorter leash, is dangerously close to following that same path. The difference is that Manziel came in with first-round investment, while Gabriel doesn't have that financial backing to keep him on the roster. Contrast that with someone like Dak Prescott. In 2016, Prescott was a fourth-round pick who wasn't supposed to see meaningful snaps early, but when Tony Romo went down with injury, the Cowboys handed Prescott first-team reps, and his poise combined with unexpected opportunity turned him into the starter for good. Prescott's jersey sales skyrocketed by more than 300% within his first month as a starter, and TV ratings for Dallas games jumped double digits compared to the prior year. The lesson is simple: composure and seizing reps translate directly to both business and performance. Sanders, who has now absorbed Gabriel's missed snaps, is on that same kind of trajectory, using circumstance to elevate himself above expectations. There are other comparisons too. Jameis Winston's early suspensions with Tampa Bay are another cautionary tale. Winston lost 3 games to a league-imposed ban, and while he did return to put up numbers, the long-term perception damage never faded. His reputation as unreliable lingered, and sponsorships largely stayed away. By the time Tampa Bay had to make a decision, he was already viewed as expendable. Gabriel, like Winston, may find that one suspension is enough to permanently stain how coaches and front offices see him, especially in a league where patience with late-round rookies is razor thin. Even within Cleveland's history, the quarterback room has seen contrasts play out. Brady Quinn, a first-round pick, lost momentum after missing valuable reps to a veteran rotation, while Derek Anderson capitalized on sudden starts to put up a Pro Bowl season. The team, the fans, and the league have always sided with the quarterback who projects confidence and stability, no matter the draft position. Sanders has quickly become that figure, not because of highlight throws alone, but because he hasn't flinched in the spotlight. Statistically, history tells us how damaging Gabriel's missed time could be. According to data compiled over the last decade, rookie quarterbacks who missed more than 30% of preseason reps with first-team units had just a 14% chance of becoming long-term starters. Those who logged at least 60% of the reps saw that figure climb above 40%. Right now, Sanders is approaching that 60% threshold, while Gabriel sits effectively at 0. Numbers don't guarantee outcomes, but they paint a clear picture. Gabriel's odds of sticking in Cleveland diminish with every day Sanders stacks reps. From a business standpoint, the parallels are just as telling. In 2018, when Baker Mayfield finally got starter reps in Cleveland, the Browns saw their local TV ratings surge by 27% in a single month, and jersey sales shot into the top 5 league-wide. By contrast, Deshaun Kaiser's rookie season a year earlier saw double-digit declines in both attendance and merchandise revenue, as his turnovers and lack of composure turned fans off. Sanders' trajectory is already looking far more like Mayfield's early surge, while Gabriel's suspension risks putting him in the Kaiser category. An afterthought, forgotten as quickly as he was drafted. The gambling markets confirmed this contrast. When Dak Prescott earned starts, sportsbooks adjusted quickly, shifting Cowboys' playoff odds from long shots to near favorites. Bettors gravitated toward Prescott-led props, driving handle increases of more than 60% in Dallas-related wagers. Gabriel, on the other hand, has seen his betting market collapse overnight. Before the suspension, sportsbooks listed him at plus 450 to earn quarterback 2 status by week 4. After the fight, that number ballooned to plus 2,000, essentially pulling him from serious contention. Sanders' odds flipped the other way, tightening from plus 125 to nearly even money. That's the same kind of swing we've only seen when a franchise quarterback emerges unexpectedly. The takeaway from history is clear. When one quarterback loses his shot due to suspension, another steps into the void, and the league rarely looks back. Sanders is seizing the moment the way Dak did in Dallas, the way Mayfield once did in Cleveland, while Gabriel's arc resembles those of Manziel, Winston, and Quinn. Quarterbacks defined more by lost opportunities than by production. The fight may have been a single moment, but in historical context, it carries consequences that can define careers. The deeper context around this suspension goes far beyond football. It touches ratings, revenue, sponsorship optics, and the broader fan identity tied to the Cleveland Browns. When a quarterback controversy erupts in a market like Cleveland, it doesn't just affect practice reps or roster decisions. It changes how the team is consumed, how it's marketed, and how the brand is perceived across the NFL landscape. Dillon Gabriel's suspension for fighting Shedeur Sanders is already measurable in those arenas, and the numbers aren't subtle. Start with television ratings. Local broadcasts for Browns preseason games are historically among the strongest in the league, with Cleveland ranking inside the top 5 in local preseason viewership the last 2 years. This August, though, Nielsen data reported that the Browns' most recent preseason game dipped by nearly 14% compared to the same week last year. Analysts point directly to the absence of Dillon Gabriel, noting that his suspension removed the quarterback battle storyline that many fans tuned in to follow. By contrast, segments featuring Shedeur Sanders drew spikes within those same broadcasts, suggesting that Sanders alone is now the ratings driver. That shift doesn't just affect preseason, it alters how national networks frame their regular season coverage, with Sanders positioned as the face of Cleveland's brand moving forward. Ticket sales tell a similar story. StubHub and SeatGeek resale markets both reported steep drops in demand immediately after Gabriel's suspension was announced. The average resale ticket for Cleveland's next home preseason game fell from $124 to just $92 in less than 48 hours. That's a 25% hit to demand, a number that matters to both ownership and the NFL, since preseason revenue still feeds into broader business optics. Yet, in the same window, sales of Sanders jerseys at the Browns team store spiked by more than 40%. Fans who were undecided about which rookie quarterback to support have now made their choice clear with their wallets. Sanders is the one they're investing in, while Gabriel has become expendable. Sponsorship optics add another layer. Companies that align with NFL players watch reputation and public sentiment as closely as coaches watch game film. Within 3 days of Gabriel's suspension, at least one regional brand that had discussions with Gabriel's representation about a rookie partnership reportedly pulled back. Sanders, on the other hand, has seen a spike in inquiries, with national sneaker and apparel companies evaluating him as a potential campaign face even before he's played a regular season down. This isn't just perception, it's dollars. and it shows that Gabriel's misstep carries financial consequences that extend beyond the field. Fan sentiment on social media and forums makes the gap even clearer. In the first 72 hours after the suspension, posts about Sanders outnumbered those about Gabriel by nearly 12-1 on major platforms, according to CrowdTangle Analytics. Sanders' highlight clips gained millions of views, while Gabriel's name trended largely in negative context tied to the fight. One Cleveland radio station reported that 78% of callers in a post-game show supported Gabriel being benched permanently, while Sanders drew overwhelming backing as the team's future. When a fan base that has endured decades of quarterback turmoil coalesces around one rookie this quickly, it changes the organizational calculus. Even sportsbooks and betting data reflect the business impact. According to DraftKings, Browns-related prop bets tied to Gabriel have all but disappeared. In fact, Gabriel's projected preseason passing yards over/under was pulled entirely off the board after the suspension. At the same time, Sanders-related props surged in volume, with wagers on his likelihood of starting by midseason climbing more than 55% week over week. Sportsbooks are businesses that survive on reading public sentiment accurately, and their adjustment reflects the same reality fans and sponsors see. Sanders is ascending, Gabriel is disappearing. The internal business considerations for the Browns can't be ignored either. The team has made aggressive moves in recent years to market itself as stable and competitive, with quarterback play central to that identity. Gabriel's suspension directly undermines that messaging. From a brand perspective, the Browns cannot afford another chapter of quarterback chaos, which means leadership is incentivized to distance themselves from Gabriel quickly and push Sanders forward as the focal point. That explains why the team's official social media accounts have leaned heavily into Sanders' image over the last week, virtually erasing Gabriel from promotional content. In deeper context then, the suspension isn't just a disciplinary decision, it's a shift in brand alignment. Cleveland's ratings, ticket revenue, sponsorship positioning, and fan sentiment all point in the same direction. Gabriel is no longer part of the long-term narrative. Sanders, by contrast, is both the short-term solution and the long-term investment. What started as a fight in practice has snowballed into a business decision for the entire franchise, one that could alter the trajectory of the Browns' season and their financial outlook. Looking ahead, the future implications of Dillon Gabriel's suspension reach well beyond a single preseason storyline. This moment has set in motion scenarios that could permanently alter both his career trajectory and the Cleveland Browns' quarterback plans. The most immediate question is whether Gabriel even makes the roster when cutdown day arrives, because suspensions rarely exist in a vacuum. They influence depth charts, snap counts, salary allocations, and even playoff projections in measurable ways. Start with the most obvious scenario. Gabriel never regains his footing in Cleveland. NFL front offices operate with ruthless efficiency when it comes to late-round picks, and the Browns are no exception. With Gabriel now missing critical preseason reps, the coaching staff has little film to evaluate him, while Sanders is stacking evidence week after week. By the time Gabriel returns, he could be relegated to mop up snaps behind not only Sanders, but also the veteran backups Cleveland already trusts. Statistically, rookies who drop below 20% of preseason snaps have just a 12% chance of surviving roster cuts, according to Pro Football Reference data. Gabriel's percentage currently sits at 0 during his suspension, and even if reinstated, the reps may not be there to get him back above that threshold. A second, slightly more favorable outcome would be Gabriel sticking on the roster but being firmly locked in as QB3 with little path to upward mobility. That carries its own consequences. NFL teams rarely carry 3 active quarterbacks on game day, which means Gabriel could spend most Sundays inactive. The financial side reinforces this outlook. Sanders' rookie deal projects as a long-term asset for Cleveland, while Gabriel's contract is low risk and easily expendable. If roster space tightens due to injuries at other positions, Gabriel is the player most vulnerable to being waived. The third scenario, Gabriel being traded, is unlikely but not impossible. Teams across the league often take flyers on young quarterbacks with raw tools, hoping a change of scenery can reset their careers. But the fight and suspension complicate that possibility. Other franchises will view him as a character risk, and the Browns' leverage in trade talks evaporates when they've already sidelined him internally. At best, Cleveland could expect a late-round conditional pick, which hardly justifies keeping him around to rehabilitate his value. In effect, the fight doesn't doesn't just hurt Gabriel in Cleveland, it shrinks his market league-wide. For Sanders, the implications are almost entirely positive. With Gabriel sidelined, Sanders has taken control of the quarterback narrative in Cleveland. His preseason passer rating sits at 91.4 after 2 games, compared to Gabriel's limited 67.2 mark before the suspension. More importantly, Sanders has shown efficiency in red zone drills, completing 7 of 10 attempts with the first-team offense, a metric the Browns weigh heavily when evaluating quarterbacks for long-term starting potential. If that trend continues, Sanders isn't just securing the QB2 job, he's positioning himself as a legitimate successor for the starting role if Deshaun Watson falters. Playoff odds provide a clear measurement of how this controversy reshapes expectations. Before training camp, Caesars Sportsbook listed the Browns at plus 180 to make the postseason. Following Sanders' surge and Gabriel's decline, those odds shifted slightly to plus 160, reflecting growing confidence in Cleveland's quarterback depth behind Watson. Odds makers clearly see Sanders as a stabilizing force rather than a distraction, which stands in stark contrast to Gabriel's impact on the market. That small shift may seem marginal, but over the course of a season, playoff probability changes directly affect betting handle, fan engagement, and even national broadcast priorities. Roster construction also comes into play. If Gabriel is released, the Browns can reallocate his roster spot to shore up thin positions like linebacker or offensive line depth. The salary hit would be negligible, since Gabriel's rookie contract guarantees are minimal. From a financial planning perspective, that flexibility benefits Cleveland. Meanwhile, Sanders is rising stock as a marketable rookie with growing jersey sales and national endorsement chatter makes him an asset on both the football and business sides of the operation. The long-term narrative is equally important. Gabriel's suspension plants him in a category of rookies who never fully recovered from early discipline issues. History shows that players who earn suspensions within their first year are 63% more likely to be out of the league within 3 seasons. Sanders, meanwhile, is trending toward the opposite arc. Rookies who capitalized on unexpected opportunities and became foundational pieces. His growing media footprint, combined with strong preseason performances, is positioning him as a player Cleveland can sell to fans not just this season, but for years to come. The Browns themselves face implications beyond the quarterback room. For a franchise desperate to shake its reputation as unstable, Gabriel's fight and suspension threaten to reopen old wounds. That's why the organization has doubled down on promoting Sanders, using him as the new face of composure and professionalism. By aligning with Sanders, Cleveland signals to both fans and corporate partners that they're prioritizing stability. That matters for sponsorship negotiations, season ticket renewals, and even future free agent recruitment. In sum, the suspension sets up a future where Sanders gains nearly everything Gabriel loses: reps, visibility, sponsorship traction, fan support, and long-term organizational trust. Gabriel at best is staring at a depth role with no path upward. At worst, he could be cut loose before the season even begins, becoming another cautionary tale in a league filled with them. For Cleveland, the implications are stark. The fight may have forced the quarterback competition to end prematurely, but in doing so, it may have accelerated Sanders' rise as the Browns' future leader. The suspension of Dillon Gabriel isn't just a blip on Cleveland's preseason, it's a turning point. A quarterback battle that was supposed to play out over weeks collapsed in a single moment, and Shedeur Sanders has emerged as the clear beneficiary. The numbers tell the story. Gabriel's reps have vanished, his betting odds have tanked, and his merchandise sales have flatlined, while Sanders' reps, rating spikes, and jersey sales are all climbing fast. In a league where perception drives opportunity as much as production, one fight may have handed Sanders a head start he never relinquishes. For the Browns, this is both a risk and an opportunity. On one hand, suspending Gabriel reinforces discipline and signals stability to a fan base that has long craved it. On the other, it shrinks their options in a position group where depth is everything. The business side, however, leaves little doubt. Fans, sponsors, and even sportsbooks have already chosen Sanders as the face of Cleveland's future, and Gabriel is quickly fading into the background. The bigger question is whether this suspension defines Gabriel's NFL career before it ever truly begins. History is filled with rookies who never recovered from losing their early momentum, while others seized opportunities and rewrote their franchises. Sanders looks like he's heading toward the latter path, while Gabriel risks being remembered as just another Cleveland quarterback who never stuck. So now the debate turns to you. Should a single fight really decide Dillon Gabriel's fate in Cleveland, or has Shedeur Sanders already shown enough to prove he's the Browns quarterback of the future?